Well, good morning. Good morning. We're back on another Saturday. Today's event that I covered and want to share with you is the tall ships sailing event that actually there's several of them in Southern California. They seem to make the rounds. They start down in San Diego and then come up the coast, and then they hit San Pedro, and then they hit the next area up there by the marina in Los Angeles. And then where I got a chance to see them was Oxnard Harbor. And if you ever get a chance to go to this, I think you'll really enjoy it. It's sort of a Polynesian maritime sailing ships sort of event. Oxnard Harbor, which what we're going to highlight today for today's show, add a little bit of historical maritime matters with British Navy, and there's a pirate additive to it. And also on shore, they usually have a Civil War encampment with all the reenactors, artillery, and all that kind of fun. So it's sort of a historical day spanning a lot of different themes and motifs having to do with that old turn of the century. The special part about this show is, and it's going to be highly featured, is the appearance of the sailing ship Bounty, which was the largest ship that came in for the tall ships regatta. And that ship was actually built for the film in the 50s with Marlon Brando as Fletcher Christian, and take into account the filming equipment and stuff. But we'll get into that when we get into the slideshow. The film, of course, that features the Bounty is Mutiny on the Bounty, which there's been 3 remakes. Or there was an original, which my grandfather had a connection with, the one with Clark Gable and Charles Lawton back in the 30s. My grandfather was born in the islands. He was half Hawaiian, and he was instrumental as being one of the Hawaiian actors for that part of the film, and also he was a casting director to get a lot of the Polynesian background performers for that original one with Clark Gable. And then, of course, Brando did a wonderful version back in the 60s with his version. And then just in the last 20 years, Mr. Mel Gibson had a try with the Fletcher Christian role. So the highlight of the Tall Ships event that we're going to cover today was the Bounty, which you'll see several pictures of that. And then there was about 9 other sailing ships of different sizes as part of this. Schooners, brigantines, and a lot of the masted ships. And we're going to be seeing a slideshow based on that. It's a lot of fun to go up there. I think it was $10 to get on all the ships. All the ships had sort of an open house. And with the pirate element, which is very popular now thanks to Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean, and of course this Civil War reenactment, it's really a lot of family entertainment and fun and very informative. So that's what the show is about today. Just briefly, I wanted to mention a couple of news topics because we only have a certain amount of roll-in for the show, and I wanted to fill the full half hour. I wanted to mention a couple of great events that are in the local Southern California area that I've attended, and they might be subjects of upcoming shows. Out in Moore Park, the Rotary Club puts on a great Oktoberfest The Oktoberfest out there is a lot of fun. It's an Oktoberfest, German Oktoberfest, and a harvest fair. So they have crafts, they have Papa bands, they have Oktoberfest beer, they have vegetables. So you can pick your own vegetables out there. They have hay rides for the kids. They have live animals. It's a lot of fun. They have a Oktoberfest costume contest. They have Stein holding contest, which is very much an Oktoberfest thing. I actually won it one year, where they fill up one of those large glass Oktoberfest steins to the top, which is about 2 liters, and you have to hold it out at arm's length, and whoever holds it up the longest wins. And I won 2 years ago. So it's a lot of fun. So I guess we'll jump to the tall ships, roll in, and I'll do a little narration, and then when we come out, if there's a little time, I'll cover a couple of more issues that's happening in the news, and that'll be it. So this again is the Tall Ships Regatta and Open House in Oxnard Harbor, and you can see it. Now this is a picture of the Bounty, which again was the star of the event. It's a huge ship. It has 3 decks, not including the bottom deck, and that's the figurehead. And I was talking to the captain about this because I had a connection through my grandfather to the first mutiny on the Bounty. He was very kind and gave me and my friend Ricky kind of a private tour, showing us around in areas that normally the public don't get to see. But it's a huge ship, and of course Hollywood never do this again, ever again. This was built from scratch back in the early 60s, and what makes the Bounty so unusual to see on the West Coast is it's stationed up in the Carolinas, and for it to come out here, it had to go through the Panama Canal. And you never see it out here on the West Coast. It's just too much trouble. So this is a real wonderful movie relic. And this is the aft section where you can see the windows into the captain's quarters and the tiller on the back there. This is inside the captain's quarters, looking out the windows. And this would be, again, the captain's and officers' quarters. And in the movie, this is where the breadfruit was kept in Mutiny on the Bounty. There's the captain's sea chest underneath the table there in the captain's quarters. And the ship was so spacious, you didn't have to bump your head or be cramped. Like when you get on most ships, everything is size and space is very valuable. So everything is very cramped, but this was very large. This is the captain. His name was Ronald. And this is actually one of the converted officers' rooms that if you want to sail on the Bounty and become a member, this is the guest where you'd stay. And this is looking up into like a little fun thing, a little bird house that was built into one of the large beams on the deck underneath. And this is looking through the skylights in the hold up outside. And the hold has been turned into sort of a tourist and souvenir area, and also is set up right here where the crew ate back in the day. So all this area was used as filming locations and scenes back in the Marlon Brando version of Mutiny on the Bounty. This is me back on deck with a couple of the deck gun armaments. And it's just, I just can't help but repeating how huge this boat is, or ship I should say. That's the top of one of the holes that looks down into the crew's quarters. And that's the main mast, just massive. The captain told me that the main mast, the highest main mast, is 120 feet tall. That's huge. I mean, that's like maybe 3 sound stages. Now, this little platform or topsail was the area that the Marines would climb up during a naval battle and shoot down on the enemy ships' personnel when they were connected together during the battle. This is looking forward to the bow spar there. And this is all wood. For those of you who have any kind of carpentry experience, you'll appreciate the fact that these materials are one of a kind. And like I said, Hollywood will never do a ship like this again. They will do it in computer-generated CGI. Now, this was the ship's wheel on the aft section, and I got a chance to stand by it. Normally, the regular guests can't stand by it. But that was the only part of the ship from the original Clark Gable film from 1939. And again, that was a film that my grandfather helped on. And as you can see, it's quite a piece of woodwork and wood trim. And again, here's the Bounty. You can see the 2 large lanterns hanging off the aft section or the back of the ship. It's just a beautiful ship. I just can't imagine sailing in it. And you can see some of the rigging. It goes way up. Sailors could not be afraid of heights. And unfortunately, I am, so won't be seeing me climbing any of those masts. That's what the ship looked like at a dock, and with the paint and everything. It's just gorgeous. So that was my highlight for the day, was to get a chance to sort of walk in my grandfather's shoes a little bit and get a chance to see the ship that will no doubt take its leave and head back to the East Coast and stay there. Here's a sailing ship row with the Bounty way in the background, or in the farthest away from us. A lot of wonderful sailing ships that you can, they're privately owned and owned by not-for-profits, and these ships can be rented, and people can buy day trips on and that sort of thing. Irving Johnson, this one obviously is from Los Angeles. This was a brigantine, 2-masted ship, and they were there for the day and open to people to come on board, talk to the crews, pick up literature, go below and see the living quarters and enjoy them. Here Ricky got a chance at the wheel here. I think that was a recent ship that we were just looking at. Now this is an interesting situation. This was a reenactment group, and this is a jolly boat. And this jolly boat has the ensign of the British Navy. So they have a bunch of reenactors that dress like the British Navy during Victoria's time, and they fight pirates in this pirate longboat several times during the day out in the middle of the harbor. So that's a lot of fun. They have these wheel guns that they fight. And this is one of the wheel guns from one of the sailing ships that you were able to get on during the open house. But the 2 jolly boats was some of the entertainment. This one came all the way from the East Coast. I think this was a schooner. It's very difficult to keep schooners and brigantines and all these different breakdowns of ships. It has to do with the number of masts, the number of sheets or sails they carry, and their tonnage. So it's very, very difficult. It was a beautiful day. The wind was just perfect, and a couple of these sailing ships went out into the harbor with people aboard. Here's my time at the wheel of one of these ships. Now this features some of the extensive knots that sailors have to know And this one's called Turk's Head, and a wonderful pattern of knotting. Here you see all the lines being put onto on a rail here with the belaying pins that are used as cleats to hold all the ropes. This is one of the sailing ships that had an open house, and for a small fee you were able to ride on the ship as they did a little harbor tour. And some people had a lot of fun doing that. Now this is another ship that comes down to the tall ships. This is the Lady Washington. She's based out of Washington State. And the big claim to fame for the Lady Washington, and was when she was moored for the open house, is this is also a film ship. This was a film ship, and it took the place of the USS Enterprise in one of the Star Trek films. And one of the Star Trek films, I forget what number it was, there was a section where the Star Trek staff went back to the early British naval days, and the Lady Washington was refitted and painted over and used in the film. This I got in costume, and that's where Captain Picard stood in the Star Trek film. But the Lady Washington is a great ship to ride on. I got a chance to go on a harbor cruise, and they actually did a mock cannon battle with another sailing ship. The Lady Washington, quite in its difference, has this horizontal winch or windlass on the bow of the ship. And they also do not have a ship's wheel. They have a tiller on the Lady Washington. Some of the other ships have a ship's wheel. That's a little bit of a later technology. These are two friends of mine that were on the ship with me that day that were actually Star Trek fans, and were on it because of the connection of the ship to the USS Enterprise sailing ship, which is, of course, what the Star Trek storyline is based on. Here's the heart of the ship, as they say. This is the Lady Washington's ship's bell. That's the ship's bell's the heart of the ship because it regulates what's done on the ship and also keeps time. So great seeing all the ship's flags and pennants and stuff in the breeze that day. Very colorful. So now this is some of the Civil War reenactors, I should say, that were on the shoreline on the edge of the piers. And that's me in between a great Republican president, Mr. Abraham Lincoln, and the gentleman in the green is a Union sharpshooter, or a sniper, as we call them nowadays. This gentleman had a booth that was explaining all the different kinds of arms and armament that both sides of the Civil War used. That was a cavalry saber. No, and he did not cut any arms and legs off that day with that saber. That was actually a little mock-up right off the side of the surgeon's table where they were doing first aid. And here you see all the different armaments, pistols, long guns, and sabers. Man puts on kind of a historical show about that sort of thing. This was an interesting booth. It was the Union hot air balloon service, which there's a little mock-up of a hot air balloon above the woman's head there. And that was the first year that they had hot air balloons. This is the Morris dancers. So they had the Morris dancers entertaining people with dancing. So, but to finish up the hot air balloon situation, the Civil War has been widely agreed to as one of the first scientific or modern wars. They had hot air balloons used for observation. The Gatling gun, which was the first surgery, modern surgery came about during the Civil War. So there's a lot of things you can learn going to these events with the historical reenactments. So, and it was just a gorgeous day. It was like 100 degrees out in the San Fernando Valley. And so I hightailed it up to Oxnard Harbor, and it was a balmy, 71 degrees and a beautiful, beautiful breeze. I mean, it was just picture perfect. So if you ever get a chance to go see the tall ships, I can't guarantee all these ships will be at the next tall ship event, but they usually get a healthy sampling of the tall ships in your area. So we've got a little more time left of the show, so I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll try to look into some events like that. Just on offhand, this weekend that we're taping the show, Carpinteria is having their free avocado festival. It's a wonderful festival. It's actually been a topic of one of my past shows, where they have a free street festival. It's a blues festival. They play blues music, free blues music. That's up in Carpinteria this weekend. But some other things I want to cover since we have a little more time. A little personal note. My mom went into the hospital. She's feeling better now. She went into the hospital with a couple of stomach ulcers, bleeding stomach ulcers that came up. She's been was hospitalized. She's out now, and she's healing up. So get well, Mom. Hope you're feeling better. So a little personal note there, and moving on to some other big ticket items. The big stir this week was the vice presidential candidates debate between Joe Biden, Democratic gentleman, and Sarah Palin, the Republican. I got a chance to see the debate. I'm a registered independent, but I enjoyed the debate. I actually voted for Joe Biden when he ran for president many years ago, back in the 80s. But the Joe Biden that I saw that night, I don't know. I really enjoyed Governor Palin during the debate. I think she won, clearly. That's not to take anything away from Mr. Biden, but Sarah Palin has really come on the scene and really energized folks, and she really seems like one of us. So she has my interest. I don't know if I'm going to vote that direction, but I think the debate she clearly won. So a lot of that's being talked about. And then just locally on the city news or city news or city facts, there's a petition going around to get Jamil's Law on the ballot in 2009. There are people out there circulating the petition for Jamil's Law. I signed it. It was a very big shame that that young man who had so much promise as a high school student was murdered, as we now find out, by a long rap sheet gang member who, not so coincidentally, turns out to be an illegal alien. So please keep your eyes out there for him, and if you feel that people who are here illegally and under the wire and who happen to be gang members should be deported immediately upon their connection with the police department, please sign Jamil's Law petition so we can get it on the ballot, and then let the people talk. Let the people voice it. I just find it a darn shame knowing that Los Angeles has such a terrible gang problem now, and LAPD statistics and FBI statistics consistently said that 40 to 50% of gang members are here illegally. They don't belong here. They should be deported. They're certainly not doing our society any good. They're causing troubles. They're ruining our communities. They're starting crime syndicates, and they just don't need to be here in our society. I say get active on this situation and sign Jamil's law so we can all vote on it. That's all we're going to do is just put it on the ballot. If it fails under its own weight. A gentleman who's very active and actually wrote Jamil's law is a fellow who's also running for the mayor's post, Walter Moore. So if you're interested in any of those two things, I'm sure you can Google that sort of stuff on your internet. And if you want to get a hold of me and be on the show, we're looking for people from the community. Contact me through the email on the end credits. And we're going to have to wrap this up. It's been a lot of fun. I want to thank the crew here at Chatsworth. My name's Tony Genovese, and this has been California Kaleidoscope. And watch for us on YouTube, because we're going to be looking for you out there in the community and hopefully being your voice. So have a fine weekend. Thanks a lot.